Hello, we're here in the majestic redwoods of Northern California, and I'm sitting here with Colt Briner and Brian Weller, who's joining me today to talk about their initiative, Rad Creative. You talk about this time being very pivotal for this seminar. Do you want to expand on that? You know, COVID seems to be coming better, lots of different things in the world. Where does this seminar fit in with the timing of all of that?
Well, creativity is often correlated or associated with calamity. You know, something terrible happens, you know, and people get incredibly creative, you know, all of a sudden, as it were, you know. And if you look at the whole history of invention, the amplification of invention is often associated with times of war, major conflict. Things like that, right?
Yeah.
And so in a way, the times we're moving through now are, it's another example of those times. But as Colt was saying earlier, these are cascading now in a series of these exponential changes we're going through. So we've got to be on our game now, creatively, right? I think the challenge, and maybe we can talk about this a little more, is why don't we sort of let's invent the game of creating, you know, this infinite game that we play as creators. Why don't we reinvent the rules and say just like just try this on like an experiment. What if we could create the future without requiring a calamity?
Yeah. The way that I think about the timing, it's two things really. So as you were saying, innovation often emerges out of calamity, right? Crisis is, what is it? It's danger meets opportunity.
Oh, the Wei Chi, the
Wei
ancient
Chi,
Chinese, crisis is danger and opportunity. Yeah.
So a lot of innovation emerges from crisis, and there's kind of a multiplicity of crises that are currently underway. And then there's also this aspect of the innovation curve, right? This exponential age piece, right? So our access to tools, our capacity to create, our understanding of how the mind works, all these things also at play. And when you bring them both together, the timing couldn't possibly be better, right? I mean, both of these things at this moment in time really are making it possible for any individual and any business to be empowered in an unprecedented way to create.
So why is it that radical changes are often resisted? Why is that?
I think it's important that there is resistance. So if you think about the innovation curve, you've got your your inventors, your early adopters, and you move all the way up to the laggards, the institutionalists. And these people are responsible for maintaining our institutions, right? They keep things reliable, they keep things stable, they give you things to invest in, they give you homes to live in and systems to operate in. It's important to have those things, otherwise we'd just have chaos everywhere. Very inventive chaos, but still chaos. Right. So that there will be people who, kind of want to maintain the status quo is actually very, very valuable. Having an understanding of how to communicate to every, I'll call them personality type or responsibility holder, maybe I'll put it that way, on the innovation curve is how you become truly empowered as an innovator. And a person at this place can also be an innovator, right? They do play a role of resistance. They play a role of really scrutinizing, right? That they have to have an extreme of scrutiny in order to let something go forward. I mean, you imagine the banking system. It's been operating as it has been for hundreds of years, right? Okay, this makes sense. If this exciting thing called cryptocurrency came out and all the institutionalists of the banking system, oh, that's really cool, let's do that. We're like, well, man, we need to have a reliable system of banking. Let's slowly move this in. And if it turns out that a cryptocurrency format makes sense and isn't dangerous and proves out and brings great benefit, let's move that into the institutions. Some new institutions may emerge, old ones will come and go, but this just general stability can move towards something, but not like fall apart in order to become something.
Wow. I mean, what you're talking about here seems to be, I think this is almost a common in the sense of general principle in how new things are adopted,
Yeah.
right, or taken up. And I think that's the curve you're referring
That's
to,
exactly
the
right,
S curve, sigmoidal curve of adoption. And it seems to be perennial, doesn't it, really, in a way that
Certainly, yeah.
we've got, we've got the innovators who are by nature, as you say, the personality, by nature are venturesome. They're looking to the future. They're the folks that say, well, give me a plank of wood and I'll ride a wave, right? Someone had that idea, surfing was born. But then, that the innovators who took that, they were the risk takers, the very venturesome. People were looking at that innovation, and these are the early adopters, as you say. The early adopters are really the kind of marketing people. They're saying, okay, in what way is this innovation, this new idea, in what way is it better, or better than what's there already? Right now, I know what's there already. I mean, other than walking on water, but anyway, you're getting on board, and so they kind of market that thing. It's called, their governing criteria is known as relative advantage. In what way is this better than? And they're able to get that word out and start looking at it, and then other people up the curve, the middle majority is saying, wow, interesting what these guys are doing, and it seems to be selling well. There's manufacturing these things. And their governing criteria is known as observability. They've got to see it to believe it. So they're not going to adopt it until it's already being shown to be efficacious and useful. And by this time, of course, you've got waxing, you've got shaping, you've got all the things that...
Rocker, no rocker.
Rocker, no rocker. So the innovators are still innovating. Meanwhile, the late majority, are more cautious. Their governing criteria is provability. They're going to prove that this is a business. This innovation is going to make quote money, or it can be adopted by a lot of people. So they have a whole different distinction of looking at, okay, well, how do you manufacture this? How do you, and then lastly, as you say, the traditionalists, these guys are not looking at all at the future. They're looking at the past.
Yeah.
They represent all that institutional knowledge, and often where you find the bankers and the lawyers, actually.
That's why I have resisted the use. I've seen it in so many representations of the adoption curve. They call them laggards. I'm like, I guess I get it technically why they're called that way, but institutionalists, I think, is a much better name for this group.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. And I think, as you were saying earlier, it's the institutionalists who, when they finally get it, and it's got to be, what their governing criteria is actually this: it's got to be simple to use and simple to understand. And can we get procedures and processes? Can we put it into a system?
Yeah.
Right?
Can we adapt it into the systems?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or if necessary, create systems where it can be propagated.
When that's necessary.
So I guess what you're saying here then is that are you saying that the traditionalists are also important for
Absolutely,
creativity?
Yes. 100%. That's the case. In fact, I would. It's interesting. I almost feel like every group along the innovation curve earns innovator, right? They may not be the primary inventor, but they all have a role in innovation. And as they do all have a role in innovation, are they not all themselves innovators?
Interesting. So I guess, yeah, that's a great insight, I think. I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but think about a football game, right? Where you want to get the ball from here, make a touchdown. It takes a team to do that.
Truly.
Right? And I guess what we're saying here, that creativity is a team sport.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, because I know that I had this issue when I was like first innovating myself, right? Creating my first businesses and this type of thing. When I would bring an idea forth, like, oh, I'm the innovator, right? So here you go, and I'm bringing this idea forth. And if people didn't just get it, right? It was like, oh, you don't get it. You're a person who doesn't get it. But what I was encountering were institutionalists, or maybe late adopters type of thing, because I hadn't taken it through those other critical cycles. It's not just you don't get it. It's the role you're playing is at a different stage for this innovation, exactly. and I think that's been very significant. And as within organizations, as I innovated new processes, tried to bring new ideas, new concepts for them to develop, it's almost like the way I thought of it was as I got in front of an audience within an organization and just put so much inspiration and like, isn't this amazing, like behind this idea. and I get like 40% of the room, I'd be like, maybe I just am not good enough at inspiring people. That was never the problem.
Right.
The problem was there was different personalities in the room who were going to play a very important role ultimately in that idea becoming adopted by the organization. This is where I started to understand the importance of the shift of the language, recognizing the roles, seeing the value that each role plays, and then becoming capable of communicating with each role. It's not just that you need to find a way to inspire the late adopters and the institutionalists. It's not about that. It's helping them see that the practical approaches, how will it get accomplished? What are the mechanisms? How does it fit?
Yeah.
So as an innovator, once you become capable of, getting people excited, good job, that's great, but also how will this thing mechanically get from here to here? Now you have become fluid in your ability to manifest and to create.
Wow.
And that's one of the very important things that we're bringing into this seminar. Not just an understanding of the different populations along the curve, but understanding their motivations, understanding what drives them, how to communicate with them, how to enroll them. This is one of the key tools for becoming a very powerful manifester in this exponential age.
That's what it sounds really nice.
Wow.
With this entire talk, it sounds like you guys really. Well, from Redwoods to Oahu, hopefully we will all be chatting very, very soon. So thank you guys so much for your time today. It's been a great honor. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Julie.